What is up, YouTube? This is Alucard AFK with another MTGO game with commentary. We're still on our black-blue control with a minor theme of discard and a major theme of milling. With some big baddies, as always, Phyrexian Obliterators, Vampire Nighthawks, that sort of thing. So opening hand, we have a Phyrexian Obliterator, we have a Swamp, we have an Island, we have a Thought Scour, we have an Island, we have a Dark Slick Shores, and we have a Drown Yard. So, Hinterland Harbor comes out, and we got an Island. We'll go ahead and play Dark Slick Shores. We'll go ahead and do a Thought Scour. Target player puts the top two cards of his or her library into his graveyard. Draw a card. So, he got rid of a Elixir of Mortality, which is awesome. And got rid of an Island. So we gotta go for the throat. We'll go ahead and play a Swamp. And pass the turn. So he's got a Plains and a Sunpetal Grove now. Usually when I see Hinterland Harbor and Sunpetal Grove together, I gotta ponder. I was gonna say it's some sort of Bant deck. I'm not sure if it was Bant Fog Turbo. I never saw any fogs, but I can only assume that's pretty much what it was. So we'll go ahead and do a Mind Rot. Target player discards 2 cards. So he'll go ahead and do a Negate, counter target non-creature spell, which I think is fantastic. Use up those negates, use up those mana leaks, and we will get our Phyrexian Obliterators out. So here comes Rites of Flourishing. So you can expect that it's some sort of turbo deck. He's got green and blue, and he's got green and white, And Rites of Flourishing. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Each player may play an additional land on each of his or her turns. Really, Rites of Flourishing is only going to help my deck. To be honest, it's just going to help me. I mean, it's going to help him, of course. That's the idea of the turbo, but it's just going to help me. My deck's really balanced. Going to be able to play 2 lands if I want to. Going to be able to get the cards I need to. So essentially, it's count takes the place of one of my draw cards. Essentially, not the best matchup. So we'll go ahead and draw a card. We got a Black Sun Zenith, and we'll play the Drown Yard. I'll go ahead and do a Ponder. So Sangromancer, Swamp, and Mana Leak. Go ahead and rearrange those and get our Mana Leak. We'll draw a card and get our Mana Leak. Play an Island. And then we'll go ahead and use the tap ability of the Drown Yard. Target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard for 1 colorless, 1 blue, and 1 black. So, there's a Plains, there's a Dissipate, good, and an Island. That'll work. And we'll draw another card, and so will he. So out comes Gideon Jura. So a lot of the Bant Turbo decks I've seen do have him in there, but a lot of them now favor Jace. Obviously, this deck is built around Jace. I don't know for sure if he's got any Jaces in there. Sometimes they run Gideon and Jace, but we'll see. And I would have loved to have mana leaked that. I really wish I had that open, but we didn't. So he's going to use his +2 ability, which during target opponent's next turn, creatures that player controls attacks this if able. So he's kind of like a big fog. So they have to attack him, and of course he's got 8 loyalty now, so he can soak up some considerable amount of damage. His -2 ability, destroy target tapped creature. His 0 ability, which is amazing, end of turn, Gideon Jura becomes a 6/6 human soldier creature that's still a planeswalker, prevent all damage dealt to him that turn. And you know, right off the bat, I didn't get a chance to try it out because I kept needing to play other things. But when it says prevent all damage, it doesn't necessarily say prevent all damage from everything. Because essentially, when I read prevent all damage, I take that as creatures doing damage to him, so he could soak up damage. But would a go for the throat work? Because it says destroy, and he becomes a 6/6 human soldier creature. So go for the throat is just destroy target non-artifact creature. So it doesn't do damage; it just destroys it. I'm pretty sure I could have got a go for the throat off, but like I said, didn't tap my lands correctly. Really didn't think about that until we got further down in the game. So got a swamp. Gonna play the swamp. Go ahead and put a Sangermancer out. So she is flying. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 3 life. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you gain 3 life. It's a 2 colorless and 2 black for 3/3 with flying. It's always nice. So we'll play our swamp because we can, and we'll draw another card. So he did another +2 ability during target opponent's next turn. Creatures that player controls attack this if able. So we have to attack next turn. He'll do a ponder, and you got a plains. So we drew a Phyrexian Obliterator, and we drew a swamp. Go ahead and play our swamp. We'll go ahead and put our Phyrexian Obliterator out. And we'll swing in with the Sangermancer, and it'll have to go towards Gideon. So he'll go to 7. So he did another +2 ability, so he's back to 9, and then we have to attack him. Now he does a Day of Judgment, and it would have been pointless. You know, yeah, he's got 1, 2, 3 lands open, so he's got just enough to prevent a mana leak. So I could do a mana leak and the Day of Judgment, or he could tap, you know, his 3 lands, and Day of Judgment would still go through, but he wouldn't be able to play anything else this turn. I'm trying to keep a mana leak open for something that other than Day of Judgment. There's another Phyrexian Obliterator sitting in our hand, so to lose 1 is not that bad. Got a Mind Sculpt. And a Thought Scour. So go ahead and put another Phyrexian Obliterator out. And he tries to do a Dissipate. He tapped all of his lands to do so. Counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner graveyard. So we're going to go ahead and mana leak it. So that's what I kept the mana leak open for. So then we'll go ahead and do a Thought Scour. Target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Draw a card. So we drew a Ponder, and Phyrexian Obliterator will fly to the battlefield. I'm gonna draw a card. I play a Sunpetal Grove. And out comes the Obliterating. And I just wish that I, had another mana leak. Wish I had some distresses in there to possibly get rid of that. I usually do, but I in no way will mulligan just to get some discard cards. So he'll take my pretty Phyrexian Obliterator away from me. And then he'll use Gideon Jura's creepy ability. He's a 6/6 human creature, and you prevent all damage to him this turn. When he uses that ability, he just makes like a sound twice, and he'll swing in for 6. We'll go to 14. And then he'll fly back over, tapped. I drew a Go for the Throat. And we drew a Drowned Catacomb. One of those thanks to Rites of Flourishing sitting over here. So I'll play a Drowned Catacomb. And we'll do a Mind Sculpt. Target opponent puts the top 7 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So let's take a gander. So Day of Judgment gone, fantastic. Negate gone, fantastic. Sunpetal Grove gone. Hinterland Harbor gone. Ponder gone, and here's his fogs. So it is essentially Bant Turbo Fog, or Bant Fog Turbo, or Fog Bant Turbo, whatever. So and a Buried Run. So fantastic, good. Then we'll go ahead and use the Drown Yard's ability, and he'll put another top 3 cards of his library into his graveyard. So let's take another gander. Real quick. Stoneheart Dignitary, fantastic. Vapor Snag, I'll take it. Forest, okie dokie. Then we'll go ahead and do a Ponder. And Phyrexian Obliterator, Island, Mind Rot. I think you know where I'm going with this. And we got a Phyrexian Obliterator, which would be the 3rd of this game. And he'll do a Beast Within on my Drowned Catacomb, which is fine. I probably would have saved that for another Obliterator. And when the Beast Within does its thing, it destroys target permanent, but you also put a 3/3 green Beast Creature token on the field, so we'll take it. It can be a chump blocker. So use that ability again. He'll become a 6/6 human creature, and he'll prevent all damage. And he'll swing in, and we'll chump block him. Thanks for the free blocker. So, we drew an island. And a Mind Rot. We'll go ahead and throw that island out there. And we'll put out another Obliterator. He'll draw a card. And his deck is down to 20 cards now. We're sitting at 34. So he'll do a Day of Judgment. And we will say, oh, Phyrexian Obliterators. He goes so quickly. He'll become a 6/6 creature. And at this point, because we put our Phyrexian Obliterator out, we do not have any blacks to do any Go for the Throats. So all we needed was 1. So we'll say, we'll take it, Gideon, and go to 8. He'll tap some cards back there. Lots of cards. Put a Consecrated Sphinx out. Hadn't seen this in the Bant Turbo Fogs, but okay. Flying, whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards for 4 colorless and 2 blue. And he's a flying 4/6. We'll say okay. And so at the beginning, we draw a card, and then his effect of Consecrated Phoenix says he can draw 2 cards. And so we got a swamp. So we'll go ahead and do a go for the throat on the Finks. Do a ponder. And we got Jace. With 16 cards left in his deck, Jace is fantastic. And with 8 life, all 3 obliterators of the 4 gone to the graveyard. This was our savior. And there's a distress there, and then there's a drowned catacomb. So probably should have kept the distress, but essentially I was counting the turns here. We could do a distress and Jace, possibly get rid of, he's got 6 cards, possibly a distress to get rid of a beast within. That could get rid of Jace because it's a target permanent. But we go for it anyway. We go for Jace. And we draw him. And we put a swamp out. And we could have done a Mine Rot. I really wanted to keep our lands open for the go for the throat, just to try to get Gideon, if that ability would work. He'll do a ponder himself. And he'll put a forest out there. 2 forests, in fact. And then he didn't go for it, so during target opponent's next turn, creatures that player controls attacks this if able. So he will not become a 6/6 guy. And we drew a distress, which we knew was coming, and a drowned catacomb. Ponder's so nice when you know you're going to draw at least 2 cards, so you know what your next 2 cards will be. So we played that drowned catacomb, and we'll go ahead and put Mr. Jace out to the face. And again, we could have done a distress here. We'll put the top 10 cards of his library into his graveyard. Want to take a gander? I know I do. So we should probably go to that step. And the game was conceded on turn 11. Those 10 cards would have put him down to 3. And then we could have used the Drown Yard's ability to get another 3, and he would have been decked out. He would have been able to draw a card. So we would have done it on this turn. With 20 life, and we're down to 8. Don't you love control decks when you're down to 8 life, or even 1 life, and you're able to win a game where they've got 20 life, or 30 life, or 100 life? It is fun. Like I said, very fun. Our obliterators basically didn't do squat, but they, made him use his spells and possibly any creatures he could have come out. He played it very well. It was a very, very. So, what'd you think? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think and how you think this deck's performing. What could I have done different? And like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you later. Bye.